Career Accelerator lecture series, our inaugural lecture for the fall of 2021. We're excited to be back, linking a KU alumni with our current KU crop of students. It just continues across the generations, and hoping to pass a little knowledge from those who have gone before down to those who are currently going through the process, and helping you as you prepare for your future. Many of you are looking forward to the midterm, but the end of the semester and graduation, but there's a whole life after that. And how do you prepare for that? What are the qualities of leadership? What does it mean to be a professional practicing engineer? And what does it mean to grow as an engineer? And so that's kind of the purpose of this series, which is sponsored by the School of Engineering Advisory Board. They wanted to help you with that process of growing and getting a head start, accelerating your career by sharing some of the experiences that they've had and some of the wisdom that they have. And we're excited that Jason Canter can be with us today. Jason is a graduate of ours. He holds a BS in chemical engineering from the University of Kansas. He and his wife Bethany live in Spring, Texas, where he works for Exxon Mobil. They have one son, Matthew, and his wife Jordan, and they live in Atlanta, Georgia. And Jason enjoys spending time with family and friends and golfing and continuing to follow Jayhawk basketball. And he remains actively engaged with the school. And he has a passion to help others and continuously improve and win together with his team, all his teams, whatever they seek to accomplish. He's been at Exxon Mobil for 23 years, and he has enjoyed roles across chemicals and downstream businesses and functions, and has worked in Baytown, Texas, Illinois, Kansas, Virginia, New Brunswick, Canada, and Houston, Texas. And his roles have involved a variety of assignments, including technical, manufacturing, business coordination, sales, marketing, customer service, and controllers. And in 2019, he had the great privilege of serving as the United Way campaign manager for Exxon Mobil, and led their campaign to support the United Way of Greater Houston to help those in need. So we appreciate, with a record of giving back, and we appreciate Jason being with us today. Jason has a presentation that is looking for your participation.
Good afternoon, everybody. I recognize I just learned that it's midterm week, so I know that there's plenty of other things to do. So I do truly appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy and demanding schedules to spend some time together. And so thank you for that. And I do want this to be a two-way learning, me to hear from you as well as you from me, and not just a matter of running through presentation slides, but make sure that this is a valuable investment of your time and that it's memorable. And so this isn't meant that you take away everything that's packed into this. I've tried to keep it simple with just a few slides, but what is personal, meaningful to you, and that you take away one or two key things. You'll also see this is a bit thematic from two angles. One, I'm a huge KU basketball fan, so for anyone that's not, don't worry, it's not going to be all about basketball, but I thought that might relate at least to some. The other is you'll see throughout this dialogue some common themes and topics or points that we're making that may intersect one another or repeat throughout our time. So just be mindful of that. And I chose leading as not managing. It's very important for me as I've come to realize that managing or manager is a title, but leading is not a title. It's a behavior. It's about who you are, how you inspire, motivate, lead, team, the organization, whether individually or formally assigned as a team. So that's why I chose this title, Leading is Not Managing. So as we go through this, it's about leadership behaviors and what I think that means. And And I know this is the Career Accelerator series. I'm not making a commitment that this is going to accelerate your career, but rather help you learn, generate some food for thought, again, some takeaways that may make it easier for you and to get off on the right 2 feet and chart your course. And in that way, accelerate, but at least learn and help you as you know, journey from school as student or academia into the next stage as a professional, whatever that may be for you. In the upper left, just showing from the Midwest, as Bob had mentioned, but lived in South Dakota and Kansas, and is a huge basketball fan, as well as meeting Dr. Green, that really pulled me to KU to study chemical engineering. And from there, then began my career with Exxon Mobil, living in a variety of cities in North America, moving around, and now again in Houston, but in Spring, a different part of Houston, and in a variety of different roles, many of which I never envisioned or thought existed while I was studying chemical engineering. In the upper right, really proud of that picture that you see there. That represents 5 generations. So that's our family photo of 5 generations taking at Thanksgiving a few years ago. And then to the right of that are cats. So we're a cat family. We have plenty of them, small herd, but those are our kids now since we're empty nesters. And then in the lower right, this is my credo that I've formed over time. And you know, it's just important to keep this kind of as a North Star and what I'm about, who I am, and how I go about what I want to achieve. And so helping, driving continuous improvement, embracing change, and identifying those opportunities and going after that, but together with a team. And whether that's a team that's that I'm managing or leading formally, that's in the organization, or just together with people, but winning, you know, collectively as a team. And a few guideposts philosophically, you know, at the top, and I consider these to tie pretty well to my credo. And at the top is matter, make an impact, and consider what you can do for others. The next is about aspiring, having a goal, not being afraid to fail, always aiming to improve and do better, and realizing there's no such thing as perfect. So always challenge yourself to aim aspirationally, aim high. And the rate of change is inevitable, and change, you're always going to encounter change. And it's important to realize that and really embrace it. And another way of saying this is there's one constant, and that's change. So just recognize that, don't be afraid of it, welcome it, and also drive it, drive change. Ask why things are done a certain way. Don't just adopt and be comfortable with the status quo, but look to do things differently. And then why would you hire smart people and then tell them what to do? So this is why this ties to the managing aspect of this, that leadership or leading is not managing, because it's managing can be in some cases micromanaging. And people don't like micromanaging generally. I don't. So don't just tell people what to do. You hire smart people, unleash their capacity, help them grow, develop, and you'll see them leading you, and they'll be telling you what to do. So those are the guideposts I keep in mind, you know, that tie well, I believe, with my credo. So now into the leadership aspects, I just wanted to share with you, and for you to take points away: growth. And this is about personal, professional growth. Always seek to grow and pay attention. So why I chose pay heed for those who recognize this from Ellen Fieldhouse is pay attention. Look for opportunities to improve, get feedback, actively seek it. And when people are willing to give it to you, then accept it, consider it, act as appropriate, though don't change who you are at the core. So this is not about changing your core values or you as a person. Stay true to yourself, but just recognize everybody has the opportunity to grow and improve in ways that are appropriate and matter to them. So pay attention. Don't let opportunities pass you by. Form networks, relationships, and learn from one another and get that feedback. And I found that to be especially important and also challenging. And when you get feedback, it can be constructive, not always positive, but turn that into something positive and build upon it. Because people, if they're taking the time to help you and to help grow and give you feedback, it's with all the best intentions. And so out of respect for that as well, because it's not always easy for people to do that, then consider to what extent and how appropriate for you to act on that and do so. And play to your strengths. So it's always important to reflect what are your strengths and that you want to not only build, but you want to leverage and play to those strengths and recognize talents are different than skills. So you may have people speak to you about skill development. And while that's important, it's very specific about certain skills for the role that you're doing or will do, but your talents are innate. Somebody doesn't teach you your natural talents. And so recognizing that and the difference between your skills, your competencies, but your talents and how you play to those and how that helps you identify what you're a good fit for and what's suitable for you and that you're going to enjoy doing and be able to contribute and succeed. And remember, everybody can be a leader. It's a choice and it's a behavior, but everybody can be a leader. And so that's why please recognize it's not about title, it's not about position, it's about how you choose to act and lead others that you're around. And this is both personally and professionally. So keep, this for me applies whether I'm at work and when I'm doing at work and the roles there, or just in my personal life. And it's a journey. It's not a race. So it's a ride as you go, and certainly enjoy the ride. But just recognize that not everything has to move at a rapid pace. You'll have twists and turns. You'll take different streets as pictured here. You have to change course, but have a course in mind and recognize what you can control and what you can't control, because some things you just can't. You can have input, you can have a voice in what may lie ahead, and you can make decisions accordingly. But there are some things that ultimately you can't control and might be decided for you. But just again, recognize what those differences are and how you navigate that. And along the way, be flexible as much as possible, but adapt. Because again, change is inevitable. But it's how you respond to that, how you react, and if possible, how you can be proactive and anticipate those changes, those barriers, and how you can overcome those. And by doing so, leading by example and showing others that you're not afraid to having to change course, you are flexible, you're willing to adapt, and you're willing to help other people do the same. So be goal-oriented, think with the end in mind. But then it's, it's a series of steps between now, where you are, and that end, and where you want to go. And again, professionally and personally. And do you enjoy what you do? Do you feel valued? Do you feel respected along the way? And how are you able, and how do you contribute? And if you feel that you're not being able to put your full self into it and contribute, then that's worth asking yourself. Is a change in course warranted? Am I in the right place? Should I take a turn, do something different? But again, it's a journey. And I'll say, through my life, there's a lot of things that I never would have anticipated that have come my way. Some that have been quite challenging, that I'm thankful for I went through that. And then some that have been, fantastic. So just keep in mind, it's change along the way, but it's a journey. And winning. So to keep a winning spirit, a positive attitude, and here, it's okay to fail. This, may be ingrained in people's minds if you're, again, a KU basketball fan. But here, Mario shot with just under 4 seconds left to tie up the game that KU went on to win in April of 2008 to win the national title. But do you remember 3 years and 2 years prior to that? In the NCAA tournament, in both of those years, 2005 and 2006, the KU teams were defeated in the first round of the tournament. And so back-to-back years, and in the Bill Self era, that could be pretty deflating. But just recognize, 2 years after that, losing to Bradley, KU beat Memphis and won the national title. And I guarantee more than not, people are going to remember this shot, KU winning the title, and the success, and what that did for the program. And, and catapulted, in some cases, their careers or just the program, KU basketball, and forgot about the quote unquote failures. Now, while those were disappointing, I'm sure to the team, the staff, the fans, it was a learning. So it's how you pick yourself up, how you work through that, what you learn, and you do something about it, and you improve, you work harder, or continue to work hard, and don't get dissuaded or down. Pick yourself up and aim to win and come back from that. So it's okay to fail. I think people fear failure because what that might mean, how they might be viewed or perceived. But it's natural. It's going to happen. Nothing's perfect, but that's how you learn. So you test as you go, you learn from those failures. Just what you're trying to do is mitigate so that the failures aren't that big, or they don't have, a significant impact to people and other things. So that you just have to mitigate and understand what's at risk, but keep winning in mind, right? Act with intensity, passion, and get back up, and always learn and seek to improve. And here, think about what your legacy is. I'm not sure how many people recognize these gentlemen, but on the left, James E. Naismith, the founder of the game of basketball, the inventor. And on the right, his protege, Forrest Fogg Allen, and so hence Allen Fieldhouse. And while you may know these two individuals, I think what's striking to me is learning more about the history and the mark on basketball, both college, professional, that these gentlemen, formed, or what they made. And so how they mentored one another and mentored others. Because, Fogg Allen, in the history of basketball, or the family tree, if you will, coached Dean Smith, Adolph Rupp, who you may know went on to North Carolina, to Kentucky, and formed their own their programs, blue blood programs, very historic. And then think of the players that they impacted. So you think about this picture of those two gentlemen and how that the impact they had on teaching, mentoring, helping, developing young people. And so that picture says a lot to me. And not only as a fan, but just as someone who is mentored and seeks to mentor others and to help, and why that my credo that I shared is especially important, helping and caring for others, and seeking to improve and win as a team, right? And basketball's a team sport. And while one player can certainly have an impact, it takes the entire team. So here with legacy, it's just good to do some self-reflection and consider, what do you expect of yourself? How do you approach what you do? What do others expect of you? What do they think of you? So if you speak through your leadership credo, does that resonate with how they see you lead and interact with others? So what do you stand for? And once you do, stick to that. Again, don't sacrifice your core, who you are, your values, either based on feedback or failures along the way. Stick to that, and always keep your credo and your legacy in mind as you go. And just aim, at least for myself, always aim to have a positive and lasting impact on others, the team, the business, the company, anybody that I interact with. It may be only one time that I have an interaction with them. And so I always think, what are they going to remember me by from that one interaction? Is it going to be positive or not? So what impression do you want to leave? Which also goes along with, you get one chance to make a first impression. But if you only get one chance to make an impact for somebody or in somebody's life, what do you want that to be? How can you take advantage of that and do that in a constructive way? So think about legacy, because I've been asked that before. What's your legacy? And what do you want your legacy to be? And it's, if you haven't thought about it, it can be a perplexing question. But it's a very valuable thing to think about and put on paper and refine to get something that's meaningful, simple to understand, convey, and live by and act by. And certainly, as you go through life professionally, personally, enjoy as you go. Make sure that you're having fun. You celebrate the successes, and it's not always the big ones. Make sure appreciate the little things and celebrate successes of yourself, with your team, or with individuals. So don't miss those moments to thank people, celebrate what they're doing, what they've succeeded, delivered, or contributed, because it does really make an impact on them and adds to productivity. That people will be inspired, they'll be motivated to do more, contribute more, and they'll enjoy what they do. And I don't know about you, but when I get up in the morning, it's much easier to get up for whatever I'm going to do if I'm looking forward to it. So always, stay aligned with with doing something that you're going to enjoy and you can put your full self into. You bring your full self to work, as they say, or full self into your recreational activities, whatever that may be, and be with people and somewhere that you're allowed or enabled, encouraged to do that, where you bring who you are, you bring all of it every day, and you enjoy it. And so your attitude goes a long way, staying positive, because it can be contagious, but conversely, it could also be toxic. And so think positive and let that spread like wildfire, lift people up, motivate, inspire, and empower people. Because I find it so rewarding and successful for me personally when I can help others develop, grow, and succeed and thrive themselves. And they're doing it. And as a team, you're much, much better as a team than just the sum of the parts. And the individuals, their individual contributions, come together and leverage that and lean on and help one another, learn along the way, and make sure that you're feeling valued. And as a leader, make sure that you value people, because it's tough if you're not genuinely valuing people and appreciating them, celebrating successes, thanking them for what they do. It's pretty hard to ask them to add value and bring their full self to work and continue to contribute and do more, do better. So just keep that in mind in how you approach, how as a leader, you inspire, motivate, again, what you stand for and what people see, and you leading by example. But enjoy the ride, have fun, and make sure that other people are doing the same. Not that everything is always a carnival, but trust me, in the toughest of situations, I've enjoyed it, I've had fun, and it makes the world of difference in working through those and doing it together. So that's the formal part of what I wanted to say, and hope you found that interesting, memorable, some takeaways, and just want to say thank you again for spending the time this afternoon going through this, and want to hear what's in the chat or hear from you. And I'm always available. The school there knows how to reach me. So it's not something that we have to conclude this afternoon in this lecture series, but always willing to help, be reached by students at the university, and I'll try to help in any way possible. So this certainly my expectation. It doesn't end here with this lecture, but I'm here to help. And thank you again for your time, and I'll turn it over to you, Bob.
Okay. So grab your keyboards. So we're looking for, or your phone. We're looking for questions. So a lot of big themes. Jason touched on there. Change, feedback, networks, strengths, anticipating change. So now it's your turn. Jason's here. He's got 20 plus years of experience working in the professional world. What would you like to know? What would you like to build on? Or what questions would you like him to expand? Topics would you like him to expand on? I know one that, well, just the first one that I wrote down goes back to the idea of change. When you mentioned that, okay, here's one. We'll let Rich will kick it off. Has your definition of leadership changed over the course of your 20-year career?
Absolutely. I think it's become clear what leadership means. It's more than just taking a training course or reading a book. you have to experience it, and it becomes personal. Once it becomes clear, and as I said, when I began forming my credo, and I got asked, what's your legacy? What do you mean to others? That's when it really hits home. So coming out of school, leadership to me better equated to how well I could do in my job. I'm a leader as an engineer. And so it definitely changed, but it's also important to know it doesn't end. So it's still changing because you get different opportunities, and you're going to be working with, or could be working with, different people from different cultures. And that's particularly important, that you have to understand how to reach and inspire and motivate and lead others. Depends on who they are and where they're from and what resonates and how you can have the greatest impact. So it's an ongoing development, if you will. Does that help answer the question for who asked that?
I think so. Can you see the
Rich?
chat?
Yeah, I did. So that was from Rich.
Okay. Carmen has a question. Can you give us a professional example of how you applied your leadership skills to set yourself apart from your peers?
Yes. I think what comes top of mind is while I was in New Brunswick, Canada, Moncton, at our global business center, and working in customer service. So I had a team of extremely capable leaders, managers, and so we had layers in our team, but it was a matter of guiding them, setting expectations, boundaries, being clear, and then getting out of their way. And when I said change is inevitable, I came in, I was probably seen as just bent on change, because things didn't make sense to me. Why are we doing things that seems very cumbersome and wasteful, and more time to do things, and it was providing customer service. So how can you provide the best customer experience? Well, generally, not only do you get it right, but you want to do it as fast as possible. So asking the team, why? Why do we do it that way? Well, could we consider something else? So asking a series of questions just to generate some thought, get them thinking. Very creative and capable people, and friends, colleagues. But then once they set things in motion, I got out of the way. And that goes back to the quote from Steve Jobs: why hire smart people if you're not going to leverage them and use them? So that's where it really came clear, because also, if you recall, when I said seeing people succeed, develop, grow, and make an impact, a material impact in the organization, the business, for our customers, that really manifested itself in that situation. And that was a lot of fun. We worked very well together, and they saw me as empowering and letting them use their capabilities to succeed and do what they felt in the way they wanted, and their teams needed and responded to that. So that's the top of mind best example I can provide.
Very good. We've got a question from Zach. How do you get or teach people to take initiative?
Well, I'd start with, it's hard. So it's hard because depending on where they're at in life, whether in their career or personally, people are motivated by different things. And so not everyone's the same, which may seem like stating the obvious, but it's important. What I find important is to try to reach people where they are. So you're coming at it in a constructive way, but encouraging them and celebrating the successes, propping them up, seeing where you can help them grow, accomplish what they would like to, so that they feel valued. So it's about thanking people, truly appreciating people for what they do, and recognizing them, not with awards, but it could be simple as thank you. I truly mean it. Appreciate what you're doing, and here's the impact that you had, or here's what it means. So you gotta. It's a journey. Something like that doesn't happen overnight, but it also needs to be genuine, because people see through when you're not being genuine or authentic. But make it personal. And if something, this is especially important, I found, if something is challenging, this is not going to be good news. This is not going to be something that somebody wants to do. Empathize, because you probably feel the same way. And you certainly don't want to be relaying that message. Just say, I know this is going to be tough. Right? So go through that with them. But it's just reaching people on a personal level, Zach. I think that's where you start, and then you find your way, learn more about people, what motivates them, and just continue to build upon that.
Very good. Turner has a question. As a leader, what's the most difficult decision you've had to make?
Letting somebody go. And it wasn't just that decision. It's when you're assessing fit, which can also manifest itself in performance, right? So if someone just isn't, if they're struggling, and you try and help them as best you can, but they're either not performing, they're not happy, which kind of go hand in hand, and they frankly, in that case, they just wanted an out, as it turns out. They just didn't want to make the decision to leave. But we had to work through that to find an amicable way to let them go. And that's really tough, because it's people. But it's not just the work aspect of it. It's on the personal level, and recognizing too that has the team sees that and kind of experiences that with you. So that was really, and that was in that same, it was in a role where it was the first time that I had to do something like that. And that was the toughest decision, and I'm confident in saying to this day, that was the toughest decision and situation I was in.
I have a question. So at one point you talked about networks and seeking feedback. So I assume that means that you connected with people and you had to find trusted people to speak with. How did you go about doing that? And how did you build a network that you could trust?
Sure. Well, you frankly start somewhere. Get curious, want to learn about people, not just about what they do, but learn about people. And no matter at what stage in their career or what their profession is, because again, it could be outside of work as well, but take a genuine interest in people, and then never miss an opportunity. So a real example, and this wasn't, I'll give you two. So a few months ago, we were on a Zoom call like this, and it was with one of our employee resource groups, and there was a very senior leader in the call, and I was making some comments, And when he made comments, I was curious. And so I chatted with him. And I said, hey, would you mind getting together sometime? I'd like to hear more about what you were saying there. And he responded, absolutely. I was just thinking the same thing. So take away from that, don't be afraid of approaching people. Worst they can say is no. But in many cases, they enjoy it. It's a break. It's something enjoyable to do and fun to focus on. They're meeting somebody new as well. You. So they're getting to know you. And that was, every so often we have lunches. We'll have a lunch every so often. And so that's turned into, a relationship where it's kind of also a mentorship. And it just started with asking in Zoom chat, hey, would you want to get together sometime? So when the opportunities are staring you in the face, don't pass them up. Don't be afraid to ask. Again, they could say no, but it's always going to be in a professional way. And so the other example is a lady at work that we're paired up in a mentorship. And she passed one of the very senior leaders. And what he's working on, she was very interested in. And she passed him. And she was going to stop. She hesitated just to say, hello, hey, would you mind having a coffee or sitting down for a chat? Because I'd really love to hear about what you're working on. I have these sort of questions. But she didn't want to approach it because she was afraid, well, that's a very, very senior person here on campus. I don't want to disturb them. I said, why? I asked her. She went back, she chatted, sent an IM to him, and so they've gotten together. And that's not to advertise a success story for me, it's all her. But it just took a nudge to break down that barrier of fear of approaching someone that you don't know, the world of unknown, to make that connection. And then it becomes easier. And just when you meet new people, at least how I approach it, is take the opportunity to speak to them, learn about them, and take a genuine interest in them, and see where it goes from there.
I would just add that there are opportunities to do that right now where you are. Faculty you can speak to. Just you have a question from class, or you have a question about all sorts of things, or research. There are research opportunities, undergraduate research opportunities. There's student groups. You could meet some, if you're a sophomore, you can meet seniors and get experience from them. There's ways right now where you can start practicing that skill set. I wanted to ask you, I like to ask about international work. So you spent some time in Canada, and Exxon's obviously a multinational company. So what are your thoughts on working across cultures? I assume you've worked with people and all over the place. Mm-hmm. Do you value that? Is that something people should seek out? Is it just sort of something that comes? Any thoughts on that?
Well, it depends on first the position in what you're in, right? Because you could have to. But I would hope that people appreciate that opportunity, because never in my wildest dreams when I was even at KU did I figure I'd be working with people in Singapore, Bangkok, Brussels, Budapest, Prague, you name it, right? Go around the globe. And learning about them, their experiences, what they grew up in, with their culture, and also how then that changes their approach to what they're doing. Whether they're careful to avoid saying no, or otherwise. So you just have to appreciate how culture could manifest itself into the behavior and what that means. So I've thoroughly enjoyed the global roles that I've had. And even though there hasn't been much global travel, certainly not relocation, international relocation, but just the experience alone to be able to work with people outside the US has been really enriching, enjoyable, and it's been fun to learn from them. And when you establish those relationships, it's enjoyable to know I've got a network, if you will, in all parts of the world, and that's on the personal level. Just knowing that you've made those connections, and so maybe that's not for everybody, but for me, I found that to be a very, very enjoyable surprise. To me, it was surprising because it was just nothing, Bob, I really thought about while I was going through school. And growing up in South Dakota, even smaller bubble, right? It's about, are you going to leave the state? So then going to Kansas, opening my aperture a bit, getting exposed to different things, but still, okay, I'm going to go work as an engineer. I'll go to a plant. No thoughts of, yes, I'm going to get into global roles and be able to, interact with people around the globe and in a whole variety of different businesses and experiences. Does that at least touch on your question? I'm happy to take follow-ups if you like.
That answers my question. We're getting close to the end. Are there any other questions out there? This is your opportunity. Can I go back to your question too about
absolutely international working with people? At the root of it, we can speak. Culture certainly is critical, and to understand that, but people are people. So how do you want to interact with people? What impact do you want to have on them? And people that's our strength. And I'm sure, we're not alone who I work with, but I said that's what makes us so successful. It's our talent. And there's such a wealth of talent around the world. And we have to, what I find is it's checking yourself and realizing that not everything is American. So be careful of not Americanizing things, right? Get the best out of everything, right? And the different perspectives, the diversity that you get from working in a global team, a whole range of thought and perspectives that come to the table. Actively listen, embrace that, active inclusively, right? It's about inclusion. So that's all I'll say. I'll end with that on that one.
Well, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, all of you that have joined us. We're glad you could be with us. We hope this has been beneficial to you. The recording will be available, and it will ultimately also be posted on the YouTube School of Engineering webpage. There's a playlist there with previous Career Accelerator lecture series, and we hope you have a chance to take a look at some of those. There's a lot of great thoughts and wisdom there that we think really could help you as you go forward with your career. With that, thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Jason, and we hope to see you all later this semester. We'll have another one around early November.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
You're quite welcome.
I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Stay safe.